Back in action and in your life on a very important and hopefully memorable when it's all said and done fight week.
Importante.
It's your favorite breakdown show with a little bit of Italian flavor for whatever reason that I didn't get let in on. What's up, guys? This is Loudmouth MMA breakdown show. Back at you this week for, it really does not need any introduction, as we'll obviously get into. It will be a doubleheader of UFC title fights atop the bill on Saturday night. Tomorrow, as of this recording, Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa, your two men on the marquee, one that we've kind of all been waiting for, even long before Israel Adesanya's last title defense. But before we get into all of that, obviously, it is me, as you already know, Davidson, your host, and the venerable Marcel Dorff. Marcel, from the other side of the world, how are you, bro?
I'm doing well, man. How are you? Good to be back.
It's good to be alive on a day like this, I got the weekend off, got some extended family coming into town, and I told them, hey, I'm going to make myself available to them today and tomorrow afternoon, but tomorrow night, shutting and locking my door. Do not talk to me. Do not talk to me. Zoning in on this fight card tomorrow night, as I'm sure many MMA fans are. If someone wants to debate where there may be something left to desire on the prelim portion, I say go ahead and kick rocks. I'm excited for this card. Marcel, I know how you feel about that narrative when people come out and they try to diss UFC card. We're going to get 11 fights inside the octagon on Fight Island tomorrow night, and it just so happens to be topped with 2 doubleheaders. What more could you ask for?
12 fights. Nah,
13,
fights.
14 fights? Yeah.
No, it's good, man. Looking forward to it. I always look forward to fight week, so yeah.
Not a whole lot of fizzles out of this card either. I know Shane Young got a replacement opponent. God, I would have loved to see him fight Nate Landwehr. I believe Gedalia and Jan was scheduled for this card as well. So, fingers crossed. At the moment, we're just past 24 hours from the event, and hopefully things can stay locked down and open up as scheduled with a pretty important fight for both of these guys' corresponding careers, but in very different ways, Marcel. Hadis Ibragimov and Danilo Marquez open things up. Marquez is on the side of the tilt where he'll be making his UFC debut, and Ibragimov, a guy obviously could be fighting for his UFC spot, one would imagine, especially if he can avoid being finished in the manner in which he has been in his 3 UFC fights. There's no other way. There's no real way to sugarcoat it or go around it. He has disappointed in his UFC tenure when a lot of us had high hopes for him coming out of M1. I know, or at least I believe you did as well, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm not gonna hide on the tables and say, no, I saw this coming. I definitely didn't saw this coming. Yeah, Cadiz, what can we say, man? He got a real high head start against Dao and Jung, but he gassed badly and he got finished. Then he fought Ed Herman, gassed in that fight as well, and got a decision. And in his last fight, he lost by a TKO or KO against Roman Dolidze via that head kick. So he has to win this one. He's fighting Danilo Marquez. I've seen him fight. I see his record. I'm not impressed, to be honest, man. He got a win over a Brazilian who was 0-16 in his, not in his last win, but his win before that. I'm honestly not to be talking shit, but I honestly think that he is signed because he's Shogun's training partner. So Kadi's gonna win this, man. This is his first win in the UFC. I think he finishes him KO first round.
Could be important for him to do so as well, maybe possibly propel him into maybe a second 4-fight deal, particularly if he gets the job done in quick and rather impressive fashion. And I'm kind of the same ilk as Marcel in that regard. I think that that's what's going to happen as well. Okay, shout out to friend of this podcast and former colleague on this network, Craig Allen, right? This is Christmas for him. This is a celebratory affair as we move in to the heavyweight division, and there he is, in the flesh, Juan Espino. Jeff Hughes. Twist. I didn't let him do it. Juan Espino finally making his UFC debut. For those that may have a shorter memory than others, he is the winner of the last tough season, the heavy hitter season, where he beat Justin Frazier in the finale. He took out, crochet boss Maurice Green on his way there. A lot of people, at least in the more well-known circles of MMA, have been waiting for him to make his debut, especially in a division as kind of thin as heavyweight is. Your thoughts on this fight, and any maybe partitioning thoughts on how this debut took so long to materialize?
That's actually pretty funny, man, because the Ultimate Fight, the very first Ultimate Fighter and the very last Ultimate Fighter are both on this card, and that's Diego Sanchez and Juan Espino. So
That is crazy. That
yeah,
is insane. Wow.
indeed is. Espino, man, he also fought in Senegalese wrestling, right? He was like I think 30 or 40 pounds heavier even than he is now. Um, he has a good submission game. He's strong on the ground. He defeated Braddock Silva and Green in the Ultimate Fighter house, and then he won the final against Justin Frazier. Um, you know what? I'm not impressed by Jeff Hughes at all in the UFC so far. I think Juan Espino, if it gets late to the later rounds, Hughes has a chance, but I think an Espino via submission in the first round.
It seems like a likely outcome. However, there is that conundrum of the unknown here, as I kind of alluded to. It's been what, better part of 2 years since he's been in there, and not a whole lot of words about it. I'm sure that maybe there's some explanation that you could probably find throughout fight week this week somewhere. I'm going to give it to Espino too, though. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He looked great en route to winning the Ultimate Fighter, and I think he gets off to a 1-0 start out of the blocks this weekend. For some reason, as we mentioned off tape a second ago, Marcel, Twitter doesn't like these next two guys a whole lot. For some reason, the guys taping, William Knight and Alexa Kammer. I think this is going to be an exciting fight. These are two. There's one thing I know for sure about this fight, and we're going to get a world-class display of athleticism. These are, as John Anik would like to say, 2+ athletes of the highest caliber. Like, these two dudes are freaks of nature. Your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, man, fun fight. Hard fight to pick as well. William Knight, man, he's a lot shorter than Alexa Kammer. I saw that during the weigh-ins. Like, it's a really big reach or height advantage for Kammer. Knight, he's like that bodybuilding, muscular kind of type, big dude, stocky. Um, he fought twice in the Contender Series, won both those fights. His last one was against Cody Brundage, I think, the man of Amanda Bobby Cooper. He won that. He came back from adversity. We got Alexa Kammer, who looked good in his Contender Series against Fabio Sharan. But I wasn't too impressed with his fight against Justin Ledet. I think that fight was a 50-50 fight. He won that fight, but it wasn't that great. Although I favor him in this fight against Knight, and I'm taking Kammer via unanimous decision.
I am as well, and I really share the same sentiment with you all the way along the board here. I wasn't. I expected to see more from Kammer in that fight, particularly when Ledet we've seen at 205. Weirdly enough, going down from heavyweight to 205, where he's still been kind of at size disparagements against guys, he's really struggled. And Kammer, one would believe taping going into that fight, he would have taken advantage of that, and he really didn't. And that's, again, why you hit the head on the nail. This is a tough fight to pick. I'm gonna play kind of the odds on the safer side, I think, with the more well-rounded and ready-to-go guy, which in this scenario is Alexa Kammer, in my opinion. So, we move along. Thank you so much to my co-host, Marcel, for directing me to a video I had not seen today up until a few moments ago. Shane Young, bravo, my man, because the reaction from Dana White is screenshot worthy, GIF worthy, meme worthy. I mean, you name it. He'll be taking on a very talented guy from Eastern Europe, Ludovic Klein, I believe, if I'm saying his name correctly. These guys are going to get down at 145 pounds. One of these guys miss weight?
Yeah,
No?
Ludovic was
Klein.
150, I think. Yeah.
150. That's a bad weight miss. Your thoughts, my man?
Yeah, indeed, it's a bad weight myth. Although it's short notice, but still, it's a bad weight myth. Um, yeah, I think Shane Young is a good fighter. I like him. I like his style. He has good cardio. He comes forward. He keeps coming. Only lost in the UFC against Alexander Volkanovski, which is now his teammate. Um, you have on the other side, you have Ludovic Klein. I'm high on Ludovic Klein on the European circuit. He's from the Is he from Czech Republic or Slovakia? I think he's from Slovakia. Um,
Slovakia, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah. Um, he's good, man. I like his style. He got some sick hands, some good power. I'm going for an upset here. I think Ludovic Klein wins this fight, unanimous decision.
I'm gonna go with Young here. There's our first fight, where we will be on separate pages. Shane Young kind of clocking in at the moment as an even money underdog. Odds courtesy of Bovada. And speaking of odds courtesy of Bovada, a talking point that I at least wanted to bounce off of you and off of our listeners right now. Man, Jake Matthews is a 7-1 favorite. Who could he be fighting in the UFC that could make him a 7-1 favorite?
CM Punk.
I mean, maybe he'd be a bigger favorite than that. You think?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 10, like minus 1,000, minus 1,500. But we're talking about Diego Sanchez here. Another thing that I just sent out on Twitter with a GIF, to kind of go along with it. Something that Marcel noted earlier. We have the very first winner of Tough and the last winner of Tough on this card, which is just insane to me. And I think the odds are kind of reflecting that here. Dana was on kind of a retirement term type of conversation last week. He's never really been, teetered in that direction. Maybe it's because nobody's asked him in regards to Diego Sanchez. Just your thoughts on this fight as a whole. I mean, I think it's a pretty easy one to assess. Back take, rear naked choke finish for me for Jake Matthews. How about yourself?
I don't think he finishes Sanchez, but he's definitely going to win. Unanimous decision. I don't really need to expand more about this fight. I think Sanchez's best days are behind him, and there's no disrespect in that. He was a great fighter. He still is a great fighter, but he's not going to make a run anymore in the UFC. And I think Jake Matthews will win this fight. I'd be shocked if Sanchez pulls off the win here, to be honest. But minus 750 is crazy.
I believe that as well. I mean, minus 750 is it's a bit wild.
It's almost disrespectful.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad you put it in those terms because I feel the same way. Moving along, we have a pretty banging featured prelim here. This is one of my this is one of my favorite fights on this card. Da Silva, I think he's being a little bit overlooked in this fight a little bit, particularly by the odds makers as well. And I mean, the fight style and manner in which Brad Riddell goes out there is obviously one a fan can latch onto, and rightfully so. But Da Silva is kind of that ilk too. This has fight of the night written all over it. I'll spoil it right now. That's going to be my pick for said accolade at the end of the show. Marcel, your thoughts?
Yeah, if I'm really honest, I don't really understand this fight. Although you have it as fight of the night, Brad Riddell won in his last fight against Magomed Mustafayev. How you go from Magomed Mustafayev to Alex Da Silva, I have no idea. I think Magomed Mustafayev is a much tougher fight, to be honest. Alex Da Silva, he's a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but he's from that Astra team, and those guys have like crazy padded records. Let's be really honest.
There's no doubt about it. However, if I may interject there, it's true when you go down his he was one of my more interesting film studies last year when I was really diving into UFC guys making their UFC debuts. He was one of the more interesting cases because you have that kind of can crusher look on a lot of these film, but not on a lot of his film, but not everybody he fought on the regional circuit was a can. I mean, at least from my assessment, not everybody, but there were certainly some guys.
I agree. But I think Riddell should have gotten a little bit of a better opponent here, a bit of a step up. I don't think a win over Alex Da Silva does a lot for him, to be honest. Brad Riddell, unanimous decision, hard fight. After a spectacular hard fight, but the dominant win, 30-27 for Brad Riddell.
I think this fight has fireworks written all over it. Both these guys are finishers. Both of these guys can come to bang. It's going to be a great attraction, and I think it's properly slotted on ESPN. All right. My backup in terms of fight of the night, and I think a lot of people's sexy pick, or so to speak, for fight of the night is coming out of the featherweight division right here. Another weight miss, though, of the same exact nature. For this time, Zubair Tukhugov, better known by most people as kind of with his involvement in the whole Conor and Khabib escapade, one of Khabib's close comrades and compatriots. Hakeem Dawodu, man, a lot of I get this every week, right? MMA fans, especially in America, with how degenerated people are in America with gambling. I'm getting texts all day today. I'm gonna get texts all day tomorrow. If you're an MMA fan and have a lot of hardcore MMA fans, you can understand this. This is a very sexy fight right now to gamble on because there is a high rate of finish probably expected between one of these two. It could easily go to decision as well. With how technically sound both of these guys are. But I say all this because it brings me to going back and looking at Dawodu's UFC tenure so far. Man, the manner in which he was finished in his debut was shocking but impressive for Danny Henry. But since then, he's been on an absolute tear and looks like a guy that could potentially make a run into the top 5 here soon. Marcel, your thoughts?
Let's break this down in Dawodu style. So I think it's going to be a very tough fight.
This guy's mean mug.
I can't do that. I think it's going to be a fun fight, man, to be honest. I think Dawodu has some very slick stand-up. Tukhugov, also more of a stand-up fighter than he is a ground fighter, but he can take this fight to the ground as well. And if he does that, I think Dawodu will have a tough night here. Also, keep in mention, Tukhugov was 5 pounds over the weight limit, so he's going to be heavier on fight night. So he will probably use his wrestling as well, I think. For me, overall, fun fight, but got to go with Tukhugov in this one, man. Unanimous decision win for the Chechen.
I'm going to be on Dawodu here. So both fights that had the weight disparagements are the ones that we disagreed on, and we split in terms of picking the guys that missed weight too. You have I have Shane Young.
You're going for the professionals, and I'm going for the guys who didn't make weight.
What do you? No, we switched off because I had Shane Young, and Klein missed weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I see. So, kind of going back to the whole gambling thing I went in on, this is a fight where people have – I'm just going to be honest, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. This is a fight where the sexy pick, at least for some people, when they're texting me and asking me about Sijara Eubanks, here's advice for you. Don't do that. Don't do that. I really like Ketlen Vieira in this spot. Vieira, especially coming out of her last fight, in the manner in which she got caught and what was really at stake for her. I mean, think about it. Aldana really, just she's a win over Holly Holm away from being almost undeniable for the next title shot at 135 pounds. And that could be Vieira easily right now, especially given her track record prior. I think she comes into this fight and knows what she needs to do. I think she's better pretty much everywhere the fight goes. And I think that spells trouble for Sijara Eubanks. Marcel, your thoughts?
Like my guys on the Money Right Fight Club always saying, don't fucking bet on women fights.
Yeah, dude, speak the truth. That is very true.
So here we have Sijara Eubanks, who looked very good against Julia Avila. I think we both have her as a lock, Julia Avila, that night, and that didn't went well.
I'll say. What's wrong?
So now fighting Ketlen Vieira. People are writing Vieira off because she got knocked out by Aldana, but I think she's very good. Also, the Katsangana split decision win looks kind of split decision, but it was clearly unanimous.
Clearly not a split decision.
Yeah, even Katsangana was surprised.
Just Adelaide Bird, throw her card in the trash. She thought Canelo won 9 rounds in the first Triple G fight and drove off in that Ferrari. You go, girl. You go, girl.
I I always see a cage side during Contender Series, like she's still there.
109, 103 Canelo skirt. Like, okay, yeah, that's not weird.
But my pick is Catelyn Vieira via unanimous decision.
Mine as well. Right on the same path. So this is kind of a fight flying under the radar a little bit too, and understandably so. You're right underneath kind of a packed.
But it's on the main card, dude. A flyweight fight.
Yeah, I know. I mean, oh wow, look at that. There was a time and place where that wasn't happening at all.
When is the last pay-per-view flyweight fight being on the pay-per-view? I don't even know. Non-title fight.
That's a really good question. That's a really good question that I'm gonna have to fact check when I have time to do so. But
you let me know if you're going 300 cards back.
No, there was a time in which the Joseph Benavidez versus Sergio Pettis type matchups of the world were headlining on Fight Pass. That was UFC 225. And I mean Pettis number 5, Benavidez number 2, I think at the time.
Yeah.
Carl France being of the same ilk and wherewithal in which Israel Adesanya comes from may potentially garnish that, and then Brad Riddell also on the prelims as well. But then again, this is kind of an important fight, standing wise, a guy that I would say has a lot to prove as far as what he can do in the UFC is the guy with the smaller sample size, and that is Brandon, number 1 nickname in the UFC, Raw Dog Royval. Couldn't believe it when Bruce Buffer said that, as if he doesn't know what Raw Dog really means. But, fight-wise, I think this is going to be a really exciting matchup. And I think it'll tell us a lot about where both of these guys could be potentially going into 2021. I don't have to say go ahead for you to take the stick, my guy.
Okay, I'm sorry. So,
no,
Kai Kara France. Yeah. I mean, I think people are very high on him. I'm not really, to be honest. I think he's a good fighter, but I don't see really championship potential in him, to be honest.
He came into the UFC with that type of hype, though. I agree with you.
Yeah, and he had a good first fight, but then against Paiva, he lost that fight, in my opinion. But he got the decision, and then he lost to Brandon Moreno. He recently won against, what's it again? Was it La Rosa?
Yeah. Everybody's beating him though right now.
Yeah. So then Brandon Royval, coming from LFA, was supposed to fight, I think, in the Contender Series, but got signed short notice. Tim Elliott defeated him, submission, got a win bonus, looked good. Although Elliott probably won the first round, but Royval was looking pretty good after that, in my opinion. If I had to pick here, I'm going for the underdog. I'm picking Brandon Royval, and I'm taking him via unanimous decision. Sorry, no finish again.
I'm with Marcel. I like the underdog here as well. I like Royval. Here's the thing. We talk about importance as far as standing in your division with a win. I mean, people talk about 205 all the time, like, oh, you're 2 wins away from being. There is not a division where it's more you're 1 win away from Dude, think about what this win would do for Royval now, especially as an underdog in this spot where 1 win put him at number 11 in the world. And now, going forward, he wins impressively this weekend. He could get a top 5 guy potentially in his next fight. If I was a matchmaker, I want to see the winner of this fight Tyson Nam, but that's just me. Okay, the meat and potatoes. I was at, obviously, Dom's last fight. I thought Dom won his last fight. I won't really go down that rabbit hole. That was close. It was close. There's a lot of interesting caveats, though, that I don't think people are mentioning or maybe even aware of going into this fight stylistically. Dominic's going to have to be very careful. He's going to have to be very cautious. I don't think he can go into the octagon with the same, kind of blueprint / game plan, whatever, what may have you, that he has against John. If he does, I think he's in danger. Am I crazy for saying that?
You're crazy, but not for saying that.
That's 100% correct.
I know you want me to take it over or something.
Well, yeah. What do you think? What do you
You
think
gotta
about
be
that
more
analogy?
you gotta
What
be
do you
more
think about
clear,
that?
man. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, man. But overall, I think Ray has a smart game plan, dude. You
Oh
saw
yeah.
him fight against Jones. Um, I, honestly, I'm pretty sure about my pick for Dominic Reyes here via unanimous decision. Again, there's gonna be a lot of decisions on this card, to be honest.
I do not see this fight going to the cards. I see this fight ending violently, one way or another. I do see Dominic getting his
One
hand raised
way
though.
or another.
I'm gonna find you. He's
I'm
in
gonna
like
get you.
Dominic singing that in the mirror with like a picture of the belt like on the wall, like I'm gonna get you. Um, dude, I'd be really happy for Dominic in this spot if he were to get the win. You know, hard not to be happy for a guy like Jan if he gets the win too here. I mean, I feel like it was just yesterday when it was Till versus Cowboy and he was arguably fighting for his UFC life
That's Devin
against
Clark.
Devin Clark and tapped into a standing, it was like a standing bulldog choke.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I think he got a bonus for that, inked a 4-fight deal, off to the races. And man, he's honed his skills, so it's hard not to feel good for a guy like that, especially if he comes up in this spot. Poland's already had their queen. I know they said on UFC Countdown they're just looking to crown their king. He'd be the guy if he does it this weekend. Do you have any last parting thoughts? Yeah, about this fight?
Did you know, and I really didn't, that Alex Reyes is the brother of Dominic Reyes?
I know. Well, okay, it's not like Alex Reyes though.
That's Alex Reyes, the guy who lost to Mike Perry.
No, oh, that Alex Reyes.
Yeah.
Because there's flyweight Alex Reyes, right?
Who's that?
Alex Perez. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Alex Perez. I'm an idiot. I saw that though, and I was just like, he's fought in the UFC. I did not
Yeah.
know that was his brother.
Me neither.
Well, imagine like, dude, especially at that point of Perry's career, like imagine your manager calling you, be like, hey, got your UFC debut. He's like, oh, dude, sick, great, like wonderful. Like who? He's like, Mike Perry. I'm 3 days notice. And like you like sit down like no, but yeah, I mean Mike, that was a scary dude at that time. But the moment everyone's been waiting for. The main event of the evening, in my opinion, the main event of the year. You can have your Cowboys and Connors. You can, I mean, hindsight's 2020. You can have your Joannas and Wayleys. Dude, this has been the fight for me for some time that is just a notch above the others. And it has absolutely nothing to do with whether they're hugging, whether they're talking, whether they're dapping. I don't care. I don't. I think the only thing that lies within any intrigue that comes from this fight lies right between the ears of both of these guys when they get inside the cage, and man, it's going to be beautiful. I still cannot wait, and it barely feels like it's tomorrow. I'm done gushing over it. Marcel, you could take over. Like, how excited are you for this fight?
I'm not jizzing my pants like you do, but
I know you're not. I am.
but yeah, it's a good fight, man. It's a fun fight. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, what can I say about it? Could you go for the breakdown this time first, and I fill you in?
You know, my breakdown is pretty simple. I've kind of looked at it the same way for a while and kind of had my assertion as to how this fight is going to be played out, in my opinion, for some time. I think Costa, as we said earlier, the Anik kind of reference, plus athlete, huge. What people don't give him enough credit for is this dude is fast, like so fast. Quickness, though, is where he's going to be at a disparagement. And when you're setting angles and you're setting traps and you're cutting guys off and you're trying to move and circle like Israel is not only so accustomed to doing, but is one of the best in the world at doing, I think that spells problems for a guy with a walk forward kind of bull versus matador mentality that Paulo Costa has. Would I be surprised if Paulo Costa puts his head down, walks forward, closes his eyes, and knocks Israel out cold with a right hand? No. Am I going for that, though? No, I'm not. I'm going with the more seasoned striker because I don't believe this fight's going to be taken to the ground. I'm going with the more seasoned striker. I'm going with the more technical fighter, and the guy I think is a little bit more well-rounded all the way across the board. Israel Adesanya for me, late championship round finish by TKO. You're muted, my man.
Taking a page out of your book. So I'm thinking Paulo Costa will probably destroy Israel in the first round, getting a 10-8. Also taking the second round with 10-9. And I think Israel will win the third, fourth, and fifth round. So we're going to have a draw. And I think Adesanya will. No, I'm just kidding here, man. I think.
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead. Run to the window, everybody. Marcel Dorff says this is going to be a draw. Let's see what the odds are. What? Come on. Where's the draw? Plus 6,500. 65 to 1.
Okay. Now, man, I think Adesanya really has to watch out for Costa's power in the first two rounds. And I think he keeps him on distance. And I think Adesanya will probably finish him in the fourth or fifth round via TKO.
Fourth round TKO is my official pick.
Then I'm going with fifth round. So we have a difference here.
Smart man. So we, as we said earlier, we're on the same wavelength all the way down the card for the outside of the two fights in which fighters missed weight. Marcel will be going with Zubaira Tukhugov and Ludovic Klein. I have Shane Young and Hakeem Dawodu picks. And we start with performance bonuses. Not a whole lot of fight of the night bonuses being given out anymore. You ever notice that lately? Most of the time they just go for the 4-prong performance bonus.
Yeah, true.
I mean, wonder why there's been like a shift in that regard. All right, performance bonuses for me. Let's go with Ibragimov. It's a bold pick. Ibragimov, Vieira, Kammer, and Reyes.
Adesanya, Royval, Kammer also, and Ludovic Klein.
Aforementioned fight of the night for me, Brad Riddell versus Alex De Silva. Marcel?
Hakeem against Tukhugov.
I think both of us are on the same wavelength for underdog of the night, Brandon Royval in this spot. Plus 190 right now.
Yes.
It's a pretty damn good price, y'all.
By the way, when you picked Riddell versus Silva as fight of the night and not Dawodu against Tukhugov, I told Dawodu and he was like,
see, this is why we need to go live. We're going to mention that at the end, but people need to see that mug. Lock of the night. I mean, it's got to be Jake Matthews, but not at minus 750, right?
Lock of the night, Juan Espino.
Ooh, okay. Well, as I just kind of mentioned, we're gonna try. I'm gonna bounce this off Keith when I send him this recording right now. We're gonna try to start going live on these going forward. I get a lot of texts about these breakdowns and about where our picks are. You can see them here and listen to them here. We're still on fire, kind of cooling off a little bit, as opposed to August, but we look forward to continuing down this path. Marcel, who's next week? Holman Aldana?
Yeah, man. When we are going live, you have to put away that black couch behind you.
Put away what?
The black couch behind you.
Oh, yeah, the black couch.
Just kidding, guys.
This man's got comedy. This man's always had comedy. Dude, it's going to be a fun kind of spell into Fight Island. Man, this four pack of main events that follow this one are all so awesome. And we look forward to breaking them down for you here on the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network. For Marcel and I, so long. We'll see you next week.